It's my podcast today. Change. Of course we're talking about change. Of course, why not? So, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth too. Here's my podcast.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Andre Anderson and I am both host and founder of BSTL. What does it stand for? Building Something That Lasts. I hope you're doing well this evening. Guess what? I've got another bonus episode to share with you this evening. Over the last little while, or at least about 2.5 years, I have had the blessing and benefit of being on the Zelda Young Show on 91.9 Chin Radio here in Toronto. And recently, with everything that's been happening with Kanye West, we decided to have a conversation connected to what's been happening, and I thought that I would share it with you all here. So guess what? I hope you enjoy. Please leave some feedback.
Okay, I'm very pleased to say that Pastor Andre Anderson is joining us this morning, and we have quite a bit of time to talk to each other, so thank you for being with us. How are you?
Hi, Zelda. I'm doing well. I hope you're keeping well and those in your community as well.
No, we're doing our best. That's the upheaval that continues is not anything we can quickly put a stop to. All right. So everybody is waiting for me to ask you a particular question, and I will follow suit. I'm just looking at a biography of Kanye West. And it changed his name to Ye or whatever the heck that means. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I thought, and I guess I'm immature or a believer in good things, that his relationship at one point was a good one with the Jewish community, and then suddenly he tipped over, and, we have this battle going on. Do you know anything about him? Have you any idea of why he feels the way he does or, puts out his message in such a negative way?
Oh, boy. I had my fingers crossed, right? Because
you thought I wasn't going to ask you.
A little bit. Oh, I was praying for it, but apparently my prayers are not answered today. I was listening to a little bit of what you were talking about with the previous speaker. And, here's the thing, Zelda, this is a tough one. And one of the things I've always been, every time I come to this wonderful show that I'm so blessed to be able to be a part of with you week after week, I have always been 100% honest with you. And I am so struggling. And when I say struggling, I know that you guys were talking about Carson on the previous with the rabbi.
Yeah.
But that, right?
Carlson.
The conversation that, Carlson, sorry. But the conversation is actually preceded by the one that he had with Piers Morgan. That's the one that I'm much more familiar with, along with following a little bit of what Kanye was tweeting. Here's the thing. I wish that Kanye was a lot more skillful in how he says what he says. And I hope you'll bear with me, Zelda, because your question is a very loaded one, and I want to make sure that I answer it because sometimes people have a tendency of taking sound bites, and then they take the part that sounds really, really bad, but they don't give enough context, which would balance out the answer. So I'm going to try, if you'll give me a few moments here. I listened to that interview with Piers Morgan, the gentleman who's from the UK. It was a great interview, a little bit turbulent, but one of the things I've discovered about Kanye, and not everybody's the same, like Zelda, you're so good with words and you're able to say things in a really good way, but I think that at times Kanye, who shoots a little bit from the hip, he doesn't always craft his sentences in a way that would allow for people to really hear what he's saying, aside from some of these fires that he may start by not necessarily massaging and being careful how he says what he says. Now, part of the thing is, Zelda, in that interview, he mentioned several times he has friends within the Jewish community.
That's just an excuse. I hate to say that. I say that all the time. You know, that's just a cop-out, I think. You know, I have friends in the...
Well,
yeah, no.
I don't know him. I don't know him. And
well, you should after all of this. Okay.
Well, here's the thing, though, Zelda, and I'm glad that you responded the way that you did, because for years, many other communities have also said the same thing in response to some of the things that we have seen happening globally, right? The sentence of, I have friends, or some of my best friends are
right.
blank.
Right.
We've heard that.
Right.
We didn't just hear that from Kanye. We've heard that all over the planet from lots of different influences, political people, government, etc. So unless we are saying that everybody's lying when they say that, then we can't necessarily keep Kanye's feet to the fire, because he said the same thing that everyone else is saying. Now, with that being said, I'm not defending his behavior, nor am I defending what he said and how he said it. But what I would like to make sure that we don't leave in our conversation anyways, right? Because I'm a black guy as well. I don't like the cancel culture, Zelda. I got to be honest with you, right? So the idea that we're here on this radio show, we should be able to say what we need to say, not in a hateful way, but we should be able to articulate and frame our thoughts in such a way that we add to the conversation and not take away from it. Now, let me explain to you why. What if you have a show, Zelda, where you say something that I emphatically disagree with you on? Do I have the right to turn off your Twitter account, your Instagram account, or should you be given an opportunity to say in a good way how you are feeling without increasing hate for any particular people group? Now, that's my question to you. This is my first question after 2 years. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it depends on the body of work of the individual that we are talking about. One statement is one statement. The reason for it is another reason, but it was loaded. It had implications that were dangerous, not only to the Jewish world, but now to him. Okay? And why does everything get reduced to religion? Why does it all come down to, I don't like you because you're just not my kind of person? Well, I don't like you because you're black. I don't like you because you're Jewish. What has that got to do with anything?
Well, here's the thing, though, and this is the conversation we've been having for quite some time, Zelda, and I'm only reminding you for the sake of consistency. The way that we begin to break down walls isn't to silence voices. It's to allow voices to have a space, to have a conversation so that there is an opportunity for change. And I'm not trying to sound like the old kumbaya guy. I'm not. But it is the truth. I have been in many conversations, right? And I'm sure if the rabbi, if we were here together, I am certain that he, just like myself, have been in very serious, volatile conversations where people don't always agree with us. And if I use the trump card of you don't get to finish your sentence because I'm a pastor and you're a church member, well, guess what? I would never hear what my congregation would have to say about anything. So I'm always careful to not cancel people's voices just because I don't like the way that it sounds. I want to hear from them because maybe there is something about what they're saying, even if it's not true, it still allows for me to understand a perspective that they may have. Now, let me also remind you of this as well, because this also happened publicly. When we talk about words having power, you'll also remember, I think it was in 2021 or 2020, I'm never good with years, but January 6th nonetheless, you and I, we would have watched what happened in the United States in their Congress building there, right? When a bunch of people rushed the building based on what they perceived the president of the United States might have been endorsing in that moment. Now, we know that there were some people that were killed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Words are powerful, right? And so, therefore, in a situation like that, and I understand, like the Twitter account was turned off for the president, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of implications to words, I mean, he's still free. He's still able to do what he's doing in his world and in his life.
Are you talking about Trump?
But his word, I am, absolutely. That thing there, that was incredible.
I view what happened entirely different than the media has portrayed it to be. And I think we are all a bunch of 5-year-old children who are just looking to create havoc. Whether it's this president or that president, I am totally dismayed by this political group of people, yay or nay. And I'm here. I'm looking. Kanye West's anti-Semitic comments over the past several days have garnered international attention and widespread condemnation. Less attention has been paid, however, to the platform that enabled West to deliver the first of his tropes on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show. And I think that if anybody comes on and says DEFCON 3 on Jewish people or black people or any other people, that's an end to the conversation. You are out of here.
So, Zelda, I want to make sure that I say this. I don't agree with what he said, especially at that soundbite, especially at that particular soundbite. But there was also some other things that were mentioned in that same conversation as a part of it. So one of the words that you know I love is this word called context. If somebody does an interview for an entire hour and you reduce it only to 10 to 12 words of an entire conversation, then you also don't do well to represent what that person may or may not have been saying comprehensively, right? So, Zelda, I hope you hear me, because we normally are on the same side of the fence on most things. That wasn't the only thing that he said. There were a lot of other things that he was talking about, and of course, the continuation would have been on some of the other spaces that he was having a conversation, right? So he also went on a hip-hop platform. I think they called themselves the Drink. Oh, I wish I would have remembered.
I don't know.
Didn't know we were
I
going
don't
to be
have
talking
a clue.
about. Doesn't matter. But he went on different platforms having a similar type of conversation. And here's the thing. On the Piers Morgan interview, here's what he said there. His own father says to him, Kanye, you've got to do better in how you say what you say. Yeah, that's what his dad said.
Okay.
Right? I think his dad was also trying to say, look, son, you may have your opinions on many different things to which he's allowed to have, but how you say it may change how people receive it. And let me also remind you of this, right? Because we both believe in the Bible, right? Or at least we believe in the Old Testament together.
Absolutely.
You know, Proverbs 12:25 says, anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. In other words, what I'm saying to you is that Kanye, and he's free to do whatever he wants to. He's a grown man. He has the right to frame and phrase whatever he says however he wants to. But the challenge is, if the goal is to bring awareness to some of the political challenges that we agree that we have on this planet, then he has to frame it in such a way that it allows for people to remain at the table versus pushing away and going back to life. And I think that that's the detriment, Zelda, right? Like one of the things that we're doing. Yeah, go ahead.
It says here, Kanye West's anti-Semitic comments have garnered widespread attention and condemnation. Less attention has been paid, however, to the platform that enabled West to deliver the first of his tropes in the first place, Tucker Carlson and his Fox News show. It should be obvious, and it would be if it was you or me or someone else, to have him on the show for a particular reason. to show him, I think, the error of his ways. But it seems to me that Fox and Carlson were really looking for the opposite. And I'm extremely disappointed because I watch Carlson all the time. After that, I may not be interested in watching him again because of his lack.
What do you think his motive was?
I don't. He thinks that. Maybe underneath all of what he appears to be, he's not. I don't know. He should, if he had felt he wanted him on for whatever reason, just for votes and calls and things, for Fox, they're as much to blame as he is. And I've watched his thoughts. Some I believe in, some I don't. But this was very obvious that Kanye West should have been, given a little hit on the head and apology for what he said.
Yeah, and maybe here's what part of it is too, right? And we also have to do this in fairness to this conversation. Kanye has been speaking his mind for years about many things. And I think that this go around, he may have said it in a way that was not pleasing to those that would have been listening to him.
Yeah, but he's telling you what he feels. And the truth that came out.
Here's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the voice that he has, despite some of the things that he may or may not have done historically, without us as the people with our boots to the ground endorsing him and following him and purchasing his music. So to some degree, and this is why I'm saying Kanye, the character, the person, the rapper, we have also made him, right?
That's
So
right.
he may have his own biases,
right?
But we have also created him. I remember one award show when he went on there, and he had strong feelings about whether or not Beyonce should have gotten an award or Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Was a presenter.
Yeah.
Right? And in that platform, all he had to do was hand her the award
he didn't.
And come off the stage.
Right, no.
He chose to.
Yeah.
Right? So this kind of behavior didn't start here. But here's the reality. Kanye West is not the only person that has done that kind of thing in that type of platform. There are podcasters, there are internet radio hosts that say things all the time.
All right, but we're almost totally out of time. That's why I'm rushing you.
Sure, no
but
problem.
but what I'm saying is there's no excuse for a well-known newscaster who allows that kind of conversation without telling him what is right or what is wrong. And I think he's lost a lot of listeners and viewers now because of the way that show was presented. It was presented for ratings, which I'm sure he got. It wasn't presented for truth.
I don't think that he's lost anything at all.
No?
I don't think that Carlson has lost anything. I think that we now, and maybe this is the conversation, and I know that we're
you've
almost
got
at the end of our
you have
time.
2 seconds, basically. So
2 seconds, then I'll be fast.
Okay.
If we want people to say things that bring humanity together, then government, entertainers, people who are influencers, we have to show them how words tear down and they don't build up. But we cannot hold any one particular person or community accountable for where we are. Think about how television has changed.
All right, we can't go any further because we're going to go off the air. We will talk again next week. Pastor, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.